I'd love to do all of this without a mortgage. Yes, we can all go and live off the land. It just costs $1 million. How crazy is it that you need $1 million to just exist on the planet? Hey, I'm Jane. I'm a single mom and I'm not letting that hold me back. I just bought 5 acres of raw land in the Kootenay Rockies where I'm building my dream timber frame home and homestead with a permaculture food forest and even a vacation rental. All of this is so one day, hopefully, my daughter won't need to struggle the way that I did. Come along with me as I create my very own freedom recipe. Today I'm going to answer a question that a lot of people ask me both on and offline. How do I plan to fund all of these massive projects that I have in mind? That's a fair question. I have lots of wild ideas and none of them are going to happen overnight. This is a long-term process and I'm happy to share with you how I plan on pulling it off. I don't know every single... I love the chipmunks. I don't exactly know how everything's gonna go, but I'm hoping to inspire people to just take a leap even if they can only see the first step. Before we crunch the numbers, I want you to know that it took a lot of sacrifice to get to this point. I gave up a lot and people thought I was nuts, but it was worth it. Okay, let's get realistic about how much all of this is gonna cost. And all of these prices are gonna be in Canadian dollars. Somebody once told me that things will always cost twice as much and take twice as long. And building the tiny home showed me that that is definitely the case. Maybe we'll come back and watch this video a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and laugh at how naive I was. So I'm gonna try to overshoot it so that hopefully I land somewhere realistic. So if you caught my very first episode, you'll know that the land is actually already paid for. I don't have a mortgage on the land. I'm starting debt-free and it would be really cool to keep it that way. I know that that might not be possible, but I would love to try. Even though I've been building the tiny home for years, I've been picking away at it just one little bite at a time, and it showed me that what seems like a really overwhelming project can actually be done slowly over time. The first major costs are going to be putting in the road, hydro, and a well. The road is estimated at, and brace yourself, $39,000. It's because it's gonna be about 350 feet long and it stretches from the bottom side of the property all the way up to the top end, but diagonally. So it is the longest possible route I could take, but it's actually the only safe one with a proper grade. So $39,000. Okay, the hydro after tax is estimated to be $29,000. The well is going to be about $15,000 to $20,000, which is actually pretty reasonable. And that's because I have such a high water table here that we're actually going to hit water at their minimum depth. So the raven says hi. So for easy numbers, let's say $40,000 for the driveway / road, $20,000 for a well, $30,000 for hydro. We're already at $90,000 just to have amenities here and to be able to drive to the build site. And these are the moments when I think, wow, what am I doing? You might remember from one of my last videos that the loggers estimated that there's 150 grand worth of trees on this land. I'm really hoping that they're right, because I'm relying heavily on the timber value to pay for everything. I also need to build a shed in order for the hydro to be pulled to it, and I'm gonna use the same shed as my water shed, just in a separate room, so that I can have a pressure tank, my filtration system, and all of that. That shed with the filtration system is probably gonna be $4 to $5 grand because I'll build it myself. This is also why learning plumbing comes in handy, not just a pretty face. Now, if there's still money left over, then I'm gonna build a fence. Because one thing I learned the hard way at my last property was that you can plant all of your trees and start growing a food forest, but if you don't have a fence or a dog, the deer and the elk are just gonna come and eat it all. I'm not gonna fence the entire property because that would be a massive undertaking for 5 acres. I'm gonna focus up where the main house is and where the tiny home's gonna be because they're gonna be bookending my orchard. The quote I was given for about an acre of fencing with maybe 1 or 2 electrical lines was $5,000. There comes a point where everything starts being measured in 5s and 10s. This is 10, 20, 30. I really feel like I'm adulting hardcore right now. The next project I would want to do is irrigation so that all of my gardens for my future food forest would have water. Again, I would do that myself. I would rent an excavator. I would dig all the trenches. I would lay all the pipe myself. Plumber. And if I do all the work myself with the cost of the rental and everything, I could probably do it for about $3,000 to $4,000. It depends on how far I want to do the irrigation. If I want to do all 5 acres, then we're talking probably more like $8,000. But I can always do half and then add more in the future. Then there's the cost of actually buying the trees to plant in the orchard, plus all the strawberries, raspberries, blueberry bushes, all of that sort of thing. Everything costs money. Luckily, I live in an area where all of the farmers do like to share their plants. So if somebody has an abundance of raspberries, they will share their raspberry offshoots, and that's amazing. I got a bunch of strawberries for my last property, but it was so dry that they didn't last. Here, there's so much water that I shouldn't have a problem growing anything. Okay, so that's the infrastructure. We haven't even gotten to the part where I build a house. Even before I build a house, I need to finish the tiny home. And there are quite a few projects left on that list. My goal is to tackle the inside of the tiny home over the winter because there's not much you can do outside during that time, and do some of the outside projects this summer and some next spring. I would love, love, love to have the tiny home completely finished by next spring. The end of next spring. Realistic goals. And once all of that is finished, I can start building the dream home. So what do I think the actual dream home is gonna cost? Well, the estimate that the timber frame company gives is $120 per square feet as a starting point. But that doesn't include windows, doors, stairs, drywall, electrical, plumbing, foundation. It's just for the framing package. The roof, I don't even think it included siding. So at 1,800 square feet, that's about $210,000 or a bit more. So realistically, it's gonna be more like $400,000 or even $500,000, which is mind-blowing considering I already own the land. Houses are so much money now. It's okay. Don't think about the whole thing or it will be overwhelming. Again, one bite at a time. So there's the cost of building everything, but then once that dream timber frame home is built, there's also the cost of maintaining that home. It's not gonna be a massive home, but every home comes with heating costs, electrical costs. Luckily, we won't have a water bill because we'll have a well, but I still wanna be able to set something up for my daughter that will run automatically, that she won't need to worry about working 60 hours a week just to maintain her home. That's where the vacation rental comes in, because the income from that should be able to cover the costs of operating the house. Plus, long-term, the food forest that I want to build, which is just my absolute dream, could potentially also be a source of income. We're talking a long time from now, like maybe a decade. But when I was talking to the guy about fencing, he was like, how many trees do you need unless you want to do a cidery or something? Yeah, okay. I don't drink, but the idea of being able to make my own beverages from my own fruit, that's super cool. I don't know if I would have enough to be able to have a large scale production, but what a cool idea. So if I can leave my daughter with income from the tiny home as well as potential farming income, then she'll have time to do things like write music, which she's really good at, travel, write a novel, whatever makes her soul sing. And that would make me really happy. Cracking twigs in the forest will always make me nervous. I don't think that will ever change. And the bears have woken up. Sometimes I think I'm going to be filming and there's just going to be like a bear that walks across the background. Maybe. By the end of the entire years-long project, realistically, this property will probably be valued at about $1 million. And I've always joked with people who say they want to live off the land. I'm like, yes, we can all go and live off the land. It just costs $1 million. That's a whole topic for another day, because how crazy is it that you need $1 million to just exist on the planet? So like any big dream, it all starts with the first step. And I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. I want you to understand that if I can do this as a single mom and find a way, so can you. It doesn't necessarily mean taking the conventional route. It means being creative. It means learning how to do skills yourself. It means learning how to invest so that your money can grow and you can use it to do projects like this. But what I'm hoping this video makes clear is that it is possible. It's slow, but it's possible. And 10 years later, when everything is done and the trees are growing and we're eating the literal fruit of our labor, people will say, oh, you're so lucky. Yes, fortunate, grateful, but luck has nothing to do with it. It's all about hard work, sticking to it, and not giving up, no matter what people say, and no matter what your starting point is. Now, all of those projects are gonna chew up all of the logging money. So by the time everything is set up and the tiny home is finished, I'm gonna be relying solely on income. And I have 3 sources of income that I'm gonna have consistently coming in throughout this project. I'll still be tattooing, which I love, and it gives me a creative outlet. I will, of course, be continuing with plumbing, and the more I learn, the more clients I get, the more word of mouth spreads, and the more that plumbing business can grow. And my 3rd source of income is YouTube. It might seem like, oh, it's just social media, but I've learned that if you're genuine and share your authentic goals and struggles, then people just connecting with you and supporting you, commenting, sharing, liking a video, it can actually help me achieve my goals. So I very humbly ask you and thank you for engaging with my content, because not only are you helping financially support me and my daughter, you're also really motivating me to keep going. And I'm not just saying that. You have no idea how much a nice comment can really turn a hard day around. I'd love to do all of this without a mortgage. I know that might not be possible, but that is one of the goals. If I could just chip away at this in cash, then not only am I giving my daughter something that's fully operational, she won't owe anything on it. And I wouldn't be so stressed while I was building it as well. I like being debt-free. It's really chill. I'm not keen to give that up. So I'm gonna bust my ass to make sure that I can make this happen. So one of the first things I need to do then is go to my first plumbing job. I'm headed across the ferry to the other side of the lake. I'm gonna help install the water lines and system for a couple of new RV pads. I am nervous. Luckily, I do have a little bit of experience with a job like this, but this is my first real plumbing client. The property is on the water, so no matter how the day goes, the view is gonna be top shelf. The crew ended up being really friendly and welcoming, which made hanging out in a ditch all day a little more fun. I'm still struggling with imposter syndrome, but each day of work leads to more and more confidence. My steel toes are muddy, just the way they should be. Okay, it ended up not being as scary as I thought. Actually, the project that they were working on is really similar to a project I did at my last property. Even though there's a lot of code to learn, which isn't that big of a deal, and a bit of math, which I enjoy. Ultimately, plumbing seems like a lot of cutting pipe, gluing pipe, cutting pipe, gluing pipe. I think I can do that. So now it's just a matter of advertising, getting the word out there, letting people know I exist. That feels really vulnerable when I haven't actually worked in plumbing for more than a day. What is my life, man? Crazy. With Gord steering the ship, it'll all work out. Wish me luck on the big projects, the little projects, and everything in between. Because if you haven't guessed it, I'm gonna need all the luck I can get. And no matter what you do in life, remember to pour love into it.